I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video. If you guys are new to the channel and you enjoy true crime stories, news, politics, and so much more, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I really would appreciate it. And if you are a returning listener, subscriber, well, thank you guys, as always, for being a friend. I really appreciate y'all, and please like the video if you like it. Give me a comment, whatever you can do. It really does help me out, and it's a free way to do so. And I thank everyone in advance for watching this video.
You know the thing.
So let's get right into it.
I've been talking about this for a long time. We need more white excellence. This is the picture of white excellence. We need more white guys who are excellent at the top of their field, articulate, defending the Catholic faith. We don't need so much of the Oliver Anthony beer chugging, all that kind of stuff. We don't need that.
I am so tired of white men failing up. This lack of accountability is a shameful, inadequate, and deeply unsatisfactory, and it is re-traumatizing. I am so tired of white men failing up.
I'm so tired of women who don't have hair on their head. I'm so tired of a woman having more hair weighing down their eyelids that is fake than even a speck of hair on their heads, on their bald head tops, okay? You look disgusting and ridiculous, ma'am. So this is the kind of thing that we're so used to hearing. And this is the kind of thing that's been embedded to people to such a degree that you now have white people who speak out against their own kinds, their own families, their own selves, and say how much hatred they have for their own race because of shit like this and people like her. Enough. Enough is enough. Ma'am, go put on a wig and then you can talk to me, okay? I don't take anything from a woman who's got a Mr. Clean head, okay? Get away from me with you. All right, guys, so let's jump right into our topic for today. We're going to be talking about how white men out there are reclaiming their excellency. They are coming back with a vengeance. They are really standing on business, and I'm loving it. I really am. I think this is should be the case for all men of all races, all communities, all cultures. They need to stand up and put their foots down and say what's what, okay? Because we, as a society collective, have cooked our men to the point of it's a major problem. And we don't so much like that, but we do love to see strong white kings getting it in this here society and being right and being forceful and just being men, okay? So it's a great thing to see. And so I just wanted to bring a little attention to all of these recent developments that have been happening. In specific, we'll be looking at a couple of athletes who have kind of just made some news recently, and it's just been this like outrage and uproar over just the most minor things, the most minor problems. And it's because they're white men, straight white men, that it is a problem. But they're unapologetically being themselves and saying, listen here, IDGAF, okay? I don't give a flying flip, okay? So we love to see that. We need more like this. We need people to stand up and be proud of who they are. It doesn't matter what your skin tone is. It doesn't matter what your race is, where you come from. Be proud of who you are. No group is less than any other group in America, and we cannot allow people to treat others this way in the society. Everyone was, been talking about how horrible slavery was. Okay, nobody likes slavery, I don't think, but yet have every ounce of energy to denigrate and talk badly about not only white men, but white people in general in this country and try to say that like they're so bad and alienate and ostracize white people as a whole, as a group collective. And we're just not going to go for that. Okay. No, we say no. Everybody is equal in the eyes of God, and we need to start acting like it, okay? So let's look at some of these things, guys. We started off with a clip of Nick, and as just a side caveat, okay, I just do want to say he started off this trend, earlier this month by being reinstated on Twitter, which we do love to see that. So if you guys are on Twitter, if you haven't already heard, go follow Nick Fuentes on Twitter. It's a good time. There's a lot of things there. A lot of opinions, but he's funny for the most part. It's mostly a troll, I feel like, with him, and you have to get his sense of humor, and you really have to understand that, like, what him and his purpose are, and as a charismatic leader of a movement, he has to ramp it up a little bit, but don't try not to be so sensitive, okay? If you're gonna follow Nick Fuentes and open yourselves up to him and his ideas, just try to take it with a grain of salt, okay? But it is a good follow. I would recommend it. So let's get right on into what he was talking about in his monologue of his show that he did, I think, yesterday.
We're going to be talking tonight about the big speech by the football player, whose name I forget, and he gave this Catholic speech. The liberals did not like this, which is awesome, which is freaking awesome. He went up there and he said, you know what, these Jews are, what did he say? Well, I don't know. We'll get into all of it. I don't know all the details, but they were mad. Apparently, it was anti-Semitic. It was sexist. Was it racist? I'm sure. But we'll get into it. They didn't like it. Needless to say, they did not like it. And you had Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, and he went to the commencement ceremony drinking a beer, okay, throwing it back, chugging a beer on the stage like some kind of poor person. And then this guy, BUTKER, I think is the name, he goes up there and gives a speech about Catholics. He goes up and gives a speech about how the Jews are banning the gospel. And there's a beautiful contrast here. We need more of the latter.
He gave a commencement speech that, the left and the libs were coping and seething over, okay? And you might ask, what is it could he possibly have said? With headlines like, Chiefs kicker spreads anti-Semitic lies in Benedictine college graduation speech, or social media slams Harrison Butker for sexist commencement speech. You kick a silly little ball, said some woman. So yeah, you might wonder, what did this guy say? Well, let's find out together.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, I would like to start off by congratulating all of you for successfully making it to this achievement today. I'm sure your high school graduation was not what you had imagined.
I just want to say, what a handsome guy. My goodness, for anyone to deliver a message like this, I mean, optics is one thing that you have to give to the right and to conservatives overall. It's like, they're good-looking people for the most part. When we have the lookers, they do be looking, because my goodness, what a handsome face this is. And I just love to see what's going on here north of his neck area. Okay, the beard, the hair, it's giving very Chad-like energy, and that really helps to make your message and your point really touch down and drive home. So you gotta give it to him. He's bringing the look.
And most likely, neither was your first couple years of college. By making it to this moment through all the adversity thrown your way from COVID, I hope you learned the important lessons that suffering in this life is only temporary. As a group, you witnessed firsthand how bad leaders who don't stay in their lane can have a negative impact on society. It is through this lens that I want to take stock of how we got to where we are and where we want to go as citizens and, yes, as Catholics. One last thing before I begin. I want to be sure to thank President Minnis and the board for their invitation to speak. When President Minnis first reached out a couple of months ago, I had originally said no. You see, last year I gave the commencement address at my alma mater, Georgia Tech, and I felt that one graduation speech was more than enough, especially for someone who isn't a professional speaker. But of course, President Minnis used his gift of persuasion and spoke to the many challenges you all faced throughout the COVID fiasco and how you missed out on so many milestones the rest of us older people have taken for granted. While COVID might have played a large role throughout your formative years, it is not unique. Bad policies and poor leadership have negatively impacted major life issues, things like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as a growing support for degenerate cultural values and media, all stem from the pervasiveness of disorder. Our own nation is led by a man who publicly and proudly proclaims his Catholic faith, but at the same time is delusional enough to make the sign of the cross during a pro-abortion rally.
Oh my
He has been so vocal in his support for the murder of innocent
Yes.
babies that I'm sure to many people, it appears that you can be both Catholic and pro-choice. He is not
Facts.
alone. From the man behind the COVID lockdowns to the people
Yes.
pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth of America, they all have a glaring thing in common.
We're looking at you, Nancy Pelosi, Miss Nancy Pelosi, who can keep her dentures in and wants to kill all the babies. Yeah, we see you, girl, Miss Supposed Catholic. Yeah, no.
Because there seems to be so much confusion coming from our leaders, there needs to be concrete examples for people to look to, and places like Benedictine, a little Kansas college built high on a bluff above the Missouri River, are showing the world how an ordered, Christ-centered existence is the recipe for success. You need to look no further than the examples all around this campus, where over the past 20 years, enrollment has doubled, construction and revitalization are a constant part of life, and people, the students, the faculty and staff, are thriving. This didn't happen by chance. In a deliberate movement to embrace traditional Catholic values, Benedictine has gone from just another liberal arts school with nothing to set it apart to a thriving beacon of light and a reminder to us all that when you embrace tradition, success, worldly and spiritual, will follow. I am certain the reporters at the AP could not have imagined that their attempt to rebuke and embarrass places and people like those here at Benedictine wouldn't be met with anger, but instead met with excitement and pride.
Yes.
Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride
hello?
that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify Him. Reading that article now shared all over the world, we see that in the complete surrender of self and a turning towards Christ, you will find happiness. Right here in a little town in Kansas, we find many inspiring lay people using their talents. President Minnis, Dr. Swafford, and Dr. Zimmerer are a few great examples right here on this very campus that will keep the light of Christ burning bright for generations to come. Being locked in with your vocation and staying in your lane is going to be the surest way for you to find true happiness and peace in this life. It is essential that we focus on our own state in life, whether that be as a layperson, a priest, or religious. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2024, you are sitting at the edge of the rest of your lives. Each of you has the potential to leave a legacy that transcends yourselves and this era of human existence. In the small ways, by living out your vocation, you will ensure that God's church continues and the world is enlightened by your example. For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker.
Oh my God! Yo! And so this was the sexist, tirade, apparently, that was condemned by every demonic figure within our media. This is it right here, guys. This is it right here. This is him telling women to go back in the kitchen, apparently. I mean, my goodness, what a significant thing to say out loud to a room full of young people. So beautiful. And, you can take that however you want to take that, but he is absolutely 100% right. And I, as a woman who I do feel like I was lied to also, and I fell for this lie, this like absolute and utter garbage nightmare hellscape that we're all living in now. And I wish I knew then what I know now and what I'm hearing from this man. I wish I had heard at my high school graduation and the message had, really gotten to me and gotten into my core, so I wouldn't have wasted so much time as I've wasted. And it's really sad. And that's because I know that I was lied to. And I know that, like, if I had it all over to do again, I would not be in the same position that I'm in right now. But I cannot, allow that to affect the rest of my life and the fact that I was lied to and sold this dream of nothingness. Now I'm trying to use that and my own experiences to try to, push the message that I wish I had received whenever I was a young girl. So I just love that he's saying this, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that this is one of the things that he's being crucified for as a sexist. I mean, my God, as if that's the worst thing to be in the world.
She's a primary educator to our children. She's the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. She's a person that knows me best at my core, and it is through our marriage that, Lord willing, we will both attain salvation. Yay. I say all of this to you because I have seen it firsthand, how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you ask her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. As a man who gets a lot of praise and has been given a platform to speak to audiences like this one today, I pray that I always use my voice for God and not for myself. Everything I am saying to you is not from a place of wisdom, but rather a place of experience. I am hopeful that these words will be seen as those from a man not much older than you, who feels it is imperative that this class, this generation, and this time in our society must stop pretending that the things we see around us are normal. Heterodox ideas abound even within Catholic circles, for let's be honest, there is nothing good about playing God with having children, whether that be your ideal number or the perfect time to conceive. No matter how you spin it, there is nothing natural about Catholic birth control. It is only in the past few years that I have grown encouraged to speak more boldly and directly, because as I mentioned earlier, I have leaned into my vocation as a husband and father, and as a man. To the gentleman here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the US, and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity. Fighting against the cultural emasculation of men.
Woo!
Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better. The road ahead is bright. Things are changing, society is shifting, and people young and old are embracing tradition. Not only has it been my vocation that has helped me and those closest to me, but not surprising to many of you, should be my outspoken embrace of the traditional Latin Mass. I've been very vocal in my love and devotion to the TLM and its necessity for our lives. But what I think gets misunderstood is that people who attend the TLM do so out of pride or preference. I can speak to my own experience, but for most people I have come across within these communities, this simply is not true. I do not attend the TLM because I think I am better than others, or for the smells and bells, or even for the love of Latin. I attend the TLM because I believe, just as the God of the Old Testament was pretty particular in how he wanted to be worshiped, the same holds true for us today. It is through the TLM that I encountered order and began to pursue it in my own life. Aside from the TLM itself, too many of our sacred traditions have been relegated to things of the past, when in my parish, things such as Ember Days, days when we fast and pray for vocations and for our priests, are still adhered to. The TLM is so essential that I would challenge each of you to pick a place to move where it is readily available. A lot of people have complaints about the parish or the community, but we should not sacrifice the Mass for community. I prioritize the TLM even if the parish isn't beautiful, the priest isn't great, or the community isn't amazing. I still go to the TLM because I believe the holy sacrifice of the Mass is more important than anything else. I say this knowing full well that when each of you rekindle your knowledge and adherence to many of the Church's greatest traditions, you will see how much more colorful and alive your life can and should be. As you move on from this place and enter into the world, know that you will face many challenges. Sadly, I'm sure many of you know of the countless stories of good and active members of this community who, after graduation and moving away from the Benedictine bubble, have ended up moving in with their boyfriend or girlfriend prior to marriage. Some even leave the Church and abandon God. It is always heartbreaking to hear these stories, and there's a desire to know what happened and what went wrong. What you must remember is that life is about doing the small things well. setting yourself up for success and surrounding yourself with people who continually push you to be the best version of you. I say this all the time, that iron sharpens iron. It's a great reminder that those closest to us should be making us better. If you are dating someone who doesn't even share your faith, how do you expect that person to help you become a saint? If your friend group is filled with people who only think about what you're doing next weekend and are not willing to have those difficult conversations, how can they help sharpen you? As you prepare to enter into the workforce, it is extremely important that you actually think about the places you are moving to.
So freaking
Who is the bishop?
real. I love that too. Like, that is just, I mean, my goodness, so accurate and so important for people to understand. And like, this is what I come across like more often than not. I cannot really honestly think of like one person besides like my parents who I talk to like on like a deep level about these important issues, that care, that actually want to talk. I mean, there's some friends I'll talk to you about some topics, but none of which are actually like invested or really like curious as to what's actually going on in the world. I mean, and that frustrates me more than anything, honestly. You know, I crave and I really yearn for people who are as like passionate and on fire about certain issues and improving our society for future generations as I am, you know. And it's like, I take it seriously, and it's like, this is so important. And you know, hopefully one day I will find people who do feel the same way that I do and think that it is important to have deeper, meaningful conversations about real issues and not just talk about, you know, who's on Instagram, you know, dating who and shaking whose ass and all this other bullshit. You know, it's just, it's meaningless. Dead weight conversation, hot air that you're blowing out, that's not doing anyone any good, you know, yourself, spiritually, and the world as a whole. So that is so important.
What kind of parishes are there? Do they offer the TLM and have priests who embrace their priestly vocation? Cost of living must not be the only arbiter of your choices, for a life without God is not a life at all, and the cost of salvation is worth more than any career.
Perfect.
So I'm going to stop him right there, because that's a beautiful way to end. What an amazing speech. A++. I could not be more happy with the fact that this has gone viral and that people are so upset about it. And the libs are coping and seething all over the place, because I think that like no matter how much they try to make this an issue, and no matter how much you know, his own employer, okay, the NFL has condemned this man for this speech. So we just listened to a large portion of it, and you guys let me know in the comments, was this something that needed to be condemned? Was everything that he just said there something that was so bad that it needed the NFL to come out against him? How ridiculous are we as a society, okay? How ridiculous are we that people can write whole articles about what we just saw, calling it anti-Semitic, sexist, lies, okay? I mean, this man just gave a beautiful, moving, touching speech about God and the importance of living within our roles and fulfilling a spiritual purpose. And this is what they hate the most, okay? So Rolling Stone went on to slander Harrison some more by talking about this ad he apparently did, and this is what they had to say. The speech wasn't the NFL player's first foray into the abortion debate. In 2022, Butker starred in a misleading TV ad campaign promoting a failed Kansas ballot measure that would have ended constitutional protections for abortions in the state, so that lawmakers could ban the procedure. In the ad, Butker identified himself as the Kansas City Chiefs kicker and claimed the amendment would let Kansas decide what we do on abortions, not judges and not DC politicians. The ad campaign was funded by the dark money group Catholic Vote Civic Action, which in turn was bankrolled by the Dark Money Network led by Leonard Leo, who is best known as the architect of the conservative Supreme Court majority that overturned Roe v. Wade and allowed states to ban abortion. Ooh, so dark, so scary. Oh, you know, those Catholics are they're very scary. Who wrote this article? It has to be somebody who wears a tiny hat. I don't know. Let's keep going. In an odd coincidence, Leo gave Benedictine's college commencement speech last year, giving a similarly right-wing speech warning of modern-day barbarians, secularists, and bigots who are determined to threaten and delegitimize individuals and institutions who refuse to pledge fealty to the woke idols of our age. God forbid someone proposes a message like that, as opposed to everybody go have butt sex and, spread AIDS to everyone. God forbid it. So they weren't the only ones to write ridiculous pieces and get all their panties in a wad about, that lovely speech we all just heard. Like I said, the NFL came out and said the following. So the NFL released a statement saying the league was committed to inclusion and that Butker's views are not those of the NFL as an organization, prompting Catholic Vote to pen a letter to the league saying their reaction calls into question your commitment to genuine diversity and inclusion. Right. So they are all about inclusion and diversity, except if you're Catholic, except if you're espousing Catholic traditional Christian views, then they don't want you. You can actually get out. You can actually be excluded in that case. That's the absolute hypocrisy and the definition of being, valueless, baseless, meritless organization that worships the devil, okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. The group asked whether the NFL's inclusion efforts include Catholics, pro-life Americans, mothers, and those who hold to traditional moral beliefs. Catholic Vote also highlighted the rising backlash against Butker, including from the wife of LA Rams quarterback, who said the speech had dangerous gender ideologies. I hope so. I really hope so. Because gender ideology needs to be in danger. It really does. It needs to be, eradicated, actually. So The View also said Butker's religious beliefs are cult-like and that he should go to therapy. Well, I think you all should go to church. So there's that. I mean, if we all thought in one hand and shit in the other, let's all see which one fills up faster, because I think I know the answer. So, again, a group of 5 shrill Democrat women think that this religious man, who's principled and moral in his values and what he says, thinks that he needs to go to therapy. I mean, if that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what it is. I really don't. So the growing hatred, intimidation, and now threats of violence against him for publicly defending our deeply held beliefs represent the worst kind of anti-Catholic bigotry and cannot be tolerated, Brian Birch, president of Catholic Vote, said in the letter. The group added that Butker's speech was courageous and encouraged Catholics to live up to the high ideals of our faith. These ideals are not controversial for millions of Americans and indeed remain sacred for millions of religious believers, including millions of your fans and customers. Oh, and he pissed off the damn Swifties, okay? God bless him. I mean, my goodness. Doesn't take much to drive those broads into a tailspin. So some of the angry women and other, gay retards out there on social media who had things to say about this, because again, there exists no hypocrites in the left movement. There exists no hypocrites within liberalism. Not at all. Not at all. It's not like they say one thing out one side of their mouth and then on the very next side of their mouth they say the complete opposite every single day of their demonic and degenerate lives. This doesn't exist, guys. Don't be fooled. But God forbid this man who had a different experience growing up because his mother was apparently an accomplished physicist, now come out and have a different opinion than the one that he was raised in and say that, well, actually, even though my mom was an accomplished working woman with a very nice career, maybe I don't agree with that. Maybe I think that she wasn't correct, which is something that I have personally said also, which I feel like, I was raised also in the same way with the same lies and the same sort of, woke feminist garbage pushed onto me as well. And, I fell for it too, but I was wrong and that was wrong. So God forbid he change his mind or have a different position. But this broad here said, Harrison Butker with his medical physicist mom, a second-generation cancer treatment specialist focusing on brachytherapy and gamma knife medical physics care. But did her life even begin? She didn't lean into the vocation of homemaker that women are called for, like her son said. Meanwhile, all these words you just said, I want to know how well she makes a sandwich. That's just me. And I'm halfway kidding. But another one here, another woman. Okay, Harrison Butker grew up wealthy because his mother is a medical physicist at the Emory University Department of Radiation Oncology. Oh, God forbid! The Diary of a Social Gal, Stephanie Dolce, who sounds like somebody I hate, on Twitter said, Elizabeth Butker is an accomplished academic who holds a degree in chemistry from Smith College as well as a master's degree in medical physics. Tell me how your mom somehow raised you to be a misogynistic, sexist man. By the way, you're a kicker. You don't do hard things. You don't do hard things. You don't do hard things. And you still miss. Owned. Ha ha. Ha ha. I said you missed, and it's not hard to kick a ball. Don't mind the fact that I can't do that at all. You know. But yeah, you missed one time. So there you have it. Owned. Fucking owned. So another TikToker, another woman, surprise there, challenged universities to maybe let women choose your commencement speaker next year, accompanied by a video of herself preparing to deliver a different commencement speech with the caption, "There are better options." The post has more than 4 million views and 1 million likes. I rue the day that those college kids had to listen to whatever god-awful commencement speech she delivered on that day. It's probably all nonsense. So they're comparing him to The Handmaid's Tale and, you know, just very shrill, loud, and emotional, as per most women. I mean, they're coping. It's a cope. It is an actual cope because they fail to realize that he's correct, and that the reason why they're so shrill, loud, and wrong is because they haven't come to their own submissiveness and their own acknowledgement of being a woman and having a purposeful role in the eyes of God and a reason for being here on this earth. Not just, a coinkydink that we're all just here floating around together, and just penises and vaginas are just flying all over the places. No. So, this one, Brittany Hoyle, you kick around a football for a living. You and me, we aren't the same. I won't stand for disrespect from a man whose job is to kick a ball for triple my salary a year. Yeah, heavy on the triple my salary a year, sis. Yeah, fucking probably should have left that one in the drafts, okay? What in The Handmaid's Tale? Imagine studying for years and then a multi-million-dollar football player gets on stage, told to speech at your graduation just to only address the women and tell us all to go have babies and get married. I mean, my God, what an insult. These people are ridiculous, okay? But one young lady who had a few good things to say, I want to play you guys this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But this just really got me fired up because I hadn't heard the speech and I just really loved it. So let's hear from this young lady here.
Watching people on social media convulsing over Harrison Butker's commencement speech is wild because I don't hear this kind of commotion for football players with 5 baby mamas who are on video beating their wives and children and driving their car 119 miles per hour, causing a 6-car crash. We have completely destroyed the holiness of family to the extremity of criticizing a man who goes on stage, congratulating the women for their accomplishments, even acknowledging that some will go on to lead successful careers, while still encouraging them to not be afraid to embrace the vocation of marriage and motherhood, especially if a career doesn't work out. Being a wife and a mom is important and it's pivotal, and no one should be villainized for speaking on it. In a society that promotes boss babe culture with a side order of abortions in order to be successful, a Catholic man encouraging Catholic beliefs to Catholic students is a breath of fresh air, especially after having to listen to morally reprehensible positions on a regular basis from the same people who are outraged now.
Girl, you said it.
Watching people on social...
She just said that, okay? And I just... Mic drop, okay? Mic drop moment. So all the usual suspects were up in arms about it too, but we're not going to get into all of them because I'll just really go on and on about this. All these women who are now posting that they agree with Harrison Butker, I stand behind him 110%. I think it's wonderful. I think that people need to stop balking at the fact when somebody comes and pushes, a morally correct and albeit Christian position on their beliefs, when we've been forced to listen to trans, gay, feminist ideology for years without anybody being able to say shit. And we all just have to take it. So I'm sorry, there are different opinions out there and more morally correct and sound opinions that need to be heard. And I don't want to hear from people who are demonic in nature, the outrage about it. Okay, it's just save it. So another person who caused quite a bunch of outrage over his actions was this other athlete who is a golfer, Scotty Scheffler, the new father and man of faith with the golfing world at his feet. And this is the guy right here. Another, white guy standing on his business. And he is not afraid to be unapologetically white, straight male. And this is the kind of energy we need. It is white, straight male summer for those of us who are white, okay? And that should not be looked at as a bad thing, okay? We all just need to get a grip and understand that if everyone else can be proud of who they are as a race, white people can too, okay? So this is just a little dedication to that. But it really has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with like men taking strong positions in our societies and coming out as the leaders that they are. But let's see what happened to Scotty. So he's a devout Christian. He once said he played the sport because he was trying to glorify God. He is a favorite to win the PGA Championship this weekend. And not since Tiger Woods in his prime as a player been so superior on the course. So he was arrested this past weekend outside of Kentucky Valhalla Golf Club. So again, he has a wife named Meredith, high school sweethearts. They married in 2020, and Scheffler paid tribute to her in his Christian faith after easing into his first green jacket. The reason why I play golf is I'm trying to glorify God and all that he's done in my life. So for me, my identity isn't a golf score, Scheffler said, who met his current caddy, Ted Scott, in Bible study, told reporters. All I'm trying to do is glorify God, and that's why I'm here. It's not about a golf score. Amen, brother. This looks like the caddy from
Happy Gilmore.
And that's hilarious. So he was quoted as saying, sitting at home with the girl I dated in high school with our child, and then the green jacket sitting in the closet is a pretty insane feeling, and I just wanted to be as thankful as possible, he said ahead of the tournament. So a level of disruption was always on the cards at Valhalla, with caddy Scott scheduled to leave Louisville to attend his daughter's high school graduation during Saturday's third round. So he was arrested as he was attempting to get to Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky around 5:45 a.m. The area Scheffler was driving into was specifically designated for golfers. He tried to navigate around the backup due to a pedestrian being struck and killed by a shuttle bus. ESPN's Jeff Darlington witnessed the incident and got video of Scheffler being led away in handcuffs. Darlington reported that Scheffler was instructed to stop, and when he didn't, an officer attached himself to Scheffler's car as he continued to drive 10 to 20 yards. The 27-year-old is facing second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. Scheffler got to Valhalla Golf Club about 35 minutes before he teed off at the second round of the PGA Championship. So in a statement to CBS News, Scheffler's attorney, Scott Ramirez, said the golfer never at any point assaulted any officer with his vehicle and that we will litigate this matter as needed. In a statement posted to Instagram, Scheffler said he was in a very chaotic situation. There was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do, Scheffler said. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Police said a pedestrian had been killed by a bus while crossing the road in a lane dedicated to tournament traffic. Police said the man died at the scene. Traffic was backed up for about a mile in both directions on the only road that leads to Valhalla Golf Club, with dozens of police cars flashing red and blue lights near the entrance. Scheffler, the number one player in the world, later started the second round shortly after 10 a.m. So according to a police report, Scheffler was in an eastbound lane and pulled into the westbound lanes where a uniformed detective was standing. The detective stopped Scheffler and attempted to give him instructions, but Scheffler refused to comply and accelerated forward, according to the report. The detective, identified as Detective Gillis, was dragged to the ground and suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions to the left wrist. The detective was dressed in a high-visibility reflective jacket when he stopped Scheffler's car to give instructions, the arrest sheet said. Gillis was taken to the hospital for his injuries. Okay, girl. So his lawyer went on to say, I think the officer that was directing traffic was maybe not part of the event traffic detail, and that's where the miscommunication arose, and that's why we're here. So this was a picture of him being pulled out of his car and arrested on scene. And I heard different reports that basically this cop was like trigger happy, and he was, you know, kind of looking for an issue. And people are just blowing this completely out of proportion because this is a white male with Christian beliefs who pushes his faith and his traditional ways of thinking. And you cannot argue with me otherwise, because anybody else, it wouldn't have been a problem for. Anybody else, it probably would have just been a non-issue. It would have been a non-arrest, and he would have been able to continue driving past. But because he was who he was, and this incident happened the way that it happened, you know, the biggest deal had to be made about this, and he had to be condemned and made to look like this maniac who tried to run over a police officer, when it doesn't seem like that's what happened at all. Scheffler was then walked over to the police car, placed in the back in handcuffs, very stunned about what was happening, looking towards me as he was in those handcuffs, and said, "Please help me." He very clearly did not know what was happening in the situation. It moved very quickly, very rapidly, and very aggressively. So Darlington, who was a reporter, said the whole incident started with a misunderstanding with traffic flow. And here's his mugshot, looking pretty epic, looking pretty, you know, whatever, you know. I'm not going to condemn this man. I'm not going to say that, like, you know, he's this awful person. You know, misunderstandings happen, but I'm tired of, like, the attacks that are constantly made on, you know, white men by every faction of the left and every faction of the media at every chance they get for the most minor things. And this is not a minor thing. Obviously, like, if, you know, if somehow this cop got dragged to the ground because whatever reason he was either holding on to the car or grabbed the car at the last minute, or maybe his clothing got caught up in the car. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But either way, it's like, if it was a truly misunderstanding, I mean, why is this even a fucking thing? Should he have really even been arrested? You know, I think that, like, the cop's ego was probably hurt, and he probably just needed to take this, you know, #1 golfer to jail over it. So, and he said he spent time stretching in jail before teeing off. So, you know, God bless him. He was getting ready, you know. He spent some time stretching. That was a first for me. That was part of my warm-up, you know. What a use of time. I mean, my goodness. Very resilient, very proficient way to, you know, utilize that time. I applaud you, sir. I applaud you. But somebody who's got a very epic, Chadley, full head of beautiful hair is Barron Trump. And I just want to say congratulations to him for graduating high school and being the almost 7-foot Chad, future king of America that he is. So here's to you, Barron.
Barron Trump just hit a major milestone. The 18-year-old graduated from Oxbridge Academy in Florida on May 17th and had his parents, former President Donald Trump and former First Lady Melania Trump, cheering him on in the sidelines. In photos from the ceremony, Barron towers over his high school officials while he walks across the stage to receive his diploma.
Look at that guy.
In other snaps, his parents smile and clap in the stands, and in one pic, Trump even waves at the camera. The former president was excused from his Manhattan criminal trial to watch his son graduate from the exclusive private high school in Palm Beach, Florida. Barron applied to the school after his family left the White House in 2021. He has yet to publicly announce his next steps, but it's been reported that he is weighing college options. And
the bone structure on this kid.
A source told People magazine that Melania will play a significant role in his decision, saying, quote, Melania will keep her hand on Barron's future just as much going forward as she has throughout his early and current school years. He is her world. She's proud of him, and she is the primary decision maker on Barron and his future.
God bless
his graduation comes days after the 18th.
Look at this family. I mean, my goodness. Is this not the picture of perfection right here? I mean, my God, my goodness. This should be, I mean, I feel like you should hang this photo in my house. I'm kidding, kind of, not really. But it is, I mean, my God, I love this right here.
18-year-old declined the invitation to be a delegate at the Republican National Convention in July. According to the Daily Mail, Melania issued a statement stating her son's decision.
Okay, that's enough of you, Access Hollywood. Thanks. So yeah, Barron Trump, he graduated high school. We love to see it. Donald Trump was there. We always love to see that. Oh, look at these two. Everyone says, you know how much Melania hates her husband. I mean, my goodness. Let the media tell you these two, haven't shared a kind word between them since the day they were married. But I mean, what's this? Her hand on his, smile. What is this going on here? A happy moment between the two? That's weird.
Trump.
Trump, yes. Love that for y'all. Imagine going to school with the president's son. Barron Trump. 7 foot tall. How is there not a standing ovation right now? Like, what's going on? He's all the tall. He's as tall as you want him to be, ma'am.
Renaya Janai Tyson.
Look at this guy. I mean, my God, will he ever stop growing? How can someone be so tall? Jeez.
Sarah Timperman.
This would be me. This would be me. I'd be the creeper filming Barron Trump, okay? And she's probably got a kid there too, and probably missing him getting called across stage, but I don't care. I'd be the same way. I'd be filming this kid, okay? There we go. So Barron Trump is epic. I really do love that kid. I really do. You know, I have to remind myself that he's 18 because he's, just very handsome, robust young man. God bless, God really put his hands on him whenever he was being created. So we love to see this. We love to see it. We pray for Barron Trump's future and the future of our country and the future of the Trump family in general. Melania looks like a class act dime piece that she is. President Trump making his goofy ass faces and being the epic funny guy that he is. It's just all around a good time, okay? And we congratulate Barron Trump. So hopefully one day we'll see more strong males like Harrison Butker and Scotty Scheffler. And, we'll be saved from this crisis of a country. But what do you guys think about all of this? Please let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you like it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this. And until next time, guys, y'all take it easy out there. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
I just tell the truth, and telling the truth is crazy in a world full of lies. If you mix brilliance with bravery, that we can ignite something. Even this conversation alone can ignite the people.
The time is now to express and for people to believe in themselves. The time is now for it to be okay to be great. People in this world shun people for being great, for being a bright color, for standing out. But the time is now to be okay to be the greatest you.